listening. What is the listening? The general listening types, specific listening types, other listening types, the principles of effective listening. Okay, what is the listening? Listening in any language requires focus and attention. Listening, the process of receiving, constructing meaning from, and responding to spoken and or non-verbal message, like babies. We learn this skill by listening to people who already know how to speak the language. This may or may not include native speakers. For practice, you can listen to live or recorded voices. The most important thing is to listen to a variety of voices as often as you can. الاستماع هو استلام وتركيب واستجابة للرسائل الكلامية أو غير الكلامية. حتى لأجل التمرن ننصح بالاستماع إلى الأصوات أما مباشرة أو مسجلة لغرض التدريب. Listening is perhaps the most important of all interpersonal skills. Effective listening is very often the foundation of strong relationships with others, at home, in education, and the workplace. To become a fluent speaker in English, you need to develop strong listening skills. Listening not only helps you understand what people are saying to you, it also helps you to speak clearly to other people. It helps you learn how to pronounce words properly, how to use intonation, and where to place stress in words and sentences. This makes your speech easier for other people. This makes your speech easier for other people listening to you to understand. Listening is not passive activity, but a process that you actively undertake. To be a better listener, you must be focused on the speaker and his message. الاستماع الجيد هو أساس العلاقات الاجتماعية. طبعاً الاستماع يساعدك على الفهم والتحدث مع الآخرين بوضوح، تتعلم نطق الكلمات، التركيز في الكلمات، استخدام التنغيم حتى يصبح الكلام أسهل. General listening types. الأنواع الاستماع العامة. When we engage in listening, we are doing so for many different reasons, depending upon the goals in which we are trying to achieve. There are two main types of listening. The foundations of all listening subtypes are discriminative listening and comprehensive listening. طبعا الاستماع النوعين هو الاستماع التمييزي، التمييزي والاستماع الشامل أو الاستماع الفهم. Discriminative listening is first developed at a very early age. This is the most basic form of listening and does not involve the understanding of the meaning of words or phrases, but merely the different sounds that are produced. In early childhood, for example, a distinction is made between the sound of the voices of the parents. The voice of the father sound different to that of mother. الاستماع التمييزي يبدأ أول مرة بسن مبكرة، وهنا ما يعتمد على فهم الكلمات ولكن مجرد أصوات يبدأ بتمييزها مثل صوت الأب عن صوت الأم. Discriminative listening develops through childhood and into adulthood. As we grow older and develop and gain more life experience, our ability to distinguish between different sounds is improved. طبعا هذا الاستماع مع تقدم العمر يتطور. من خلال التجارب راح تتطور قدرتك بأنه تميز بين الأصوات المختلفة. Not only can we recognize different voices, but we also develop the ability to recognize subtle differences in the way that sounds are made. This is fundamental to ultimately understanding what these sounds mean. Differences include many subtleties recognizing foreign language, distinguishing between regional accents and close to the emotion and feelings of the speaker. Being able to distinguish the subtleties of sound made by somebody who is happy or sad, angry or stressed, for example, adds value to what is actually being said, and of course, does aid comprehension. When discriminative listening skills are combined with visual stimuli, the resulting ability to listen to body language enable us to begin to understand the speaker more fully. For example, recognizing somebody is sad despite what they are saying or how they are saying it. التعرف على اللغات قلنا مع تقدم العمر انه يتطور التعرف على الاصوات، التعرف على اللغات الاجنبيه، تتعرف ايضا على عواطف ومشاعر المتحدث. نصبح قادرين على التمييز بين الصوت يصدر شخص حزين او شخص سعيد، طبعا من خلال نبره الصوت. Comprehensive listening. Comprehensive listening involves understanding the message or messages that are being communicated. Like discriminative listening, comprehensive listening is fundamental to all listening subtypes. In order to be able to use comprehensive listening and therefore gain understanding the listener, first you need appropriate vocabulary and language skill. Using overly complicated language or technical jargon, therefore can be a barrier to comprehensive listening. طبعا هذا النوع يحتاج المستمع إلى مهارات ومفردات لغوية. وبداية الاستماع أول ما تحاول إنه تبدأ تستمع، حاول إنه تبدأ تستمع إلى كلمات بسيطة. راح شاملة that may understand the message in two different ways. This problem can be multiplied in a group setting, like a classroom or business meeting, where numerous different meanings can be derived from what has been said. Comprehensive listening is complemented by sub-message from non-verbal communication, such as the tone of the voice, gesture, and other body language. These non-verbal signals can greatly aid communication and comprehension, but can also confuse and potential lead to misunderstanding. In many listening situations, it is vital to seek clarification, and use skills such as reflection, aid, comprehension. Listening, comprehensive listening تكتمل من خلال نبرة الصوت والحركات والإيماءات اللي تساعد على الفهم، وهنا لابد من استخدام مهارات التفكير المساعدة على الفهم. هذا النوع من أصعب أنواع الاستماع لأنه يتطلب تركيز والمشاركة. Okay. Specific listening types. Discriminative and comprehensive listening are prerequisites for specific listening types. أنواع الاستماع هنا تكون محددة أو خاصة. Listening types can be defined by the goal of listening. طبعاً نوع الاستماع يعتمد على الهدف من الاستماع. In reality, you may have more than one goal for listening at any given time. For example, you may be listening to learn whilst also attempting to be empathetic. The three main types of listening most common in interpersonal communication are informational listening. الاستماع نقدر نقول الاستماع المعلوماتي. Listen to learn. Listen to learn. Whenever you listen to learn something, you are engaged in informational listening. This is true in many day-to-day situations, in education and at work. When you listen to the news, watch a documentary, when a friend tells you reciting, or when you are talking through a technical problem with a computer, there are many other examples of informational listening too. Although all types of listening are active, they require concentration and conscious effort to understanding. Informational listening is less active than many of the other types of listening. When we are listening to learning or be instructed, we are taking in new information and facts. We are not criticizing or analyzing informational listening, especially in formal settings like in work meetings or while education is often accompanied by note taking away from recording key information so that it can be reviewed later. هذا النوع دائما موجود بالمواقف اليومية بالتعليم، بالعمل، تستمع الأخبار، شاهد مثل فيلم وثائقي. هذا النوع من التعليم يعتبر الأقل نشاط من أنواع الاستماع البقية، لأن هنا فقط تتلقى المعلومات وحقائق وما تحتاج إنه تنتقد أو تحلل، فقط تستمع للمعلومة وتدونها حتى تقدر بعدين إنه تراجعها. critical listening هذا الاستماع الناقد. We can be said to be engaged in critical listening when the goal is to evaluate or scrutinize what is being said. Critical listening is a much more active behavior than informational listening and involves some sort of a problem solving or decision making. Whereas informational listening may be mostly concerned with the receiving facts and or new information. Critical listening is about analyzing opinion and making a judgment. طبعا الاستماع النقدي هدفه هو التقييم وتدقيق ما قيل. هذا النوع يعتبر أكثر فاعلية من informational listening. هنا تحاول تقدم حل للمشكلة. When the word critical is used to describe listening, reading, or thinking, it does not necessarily mean that you are claiming that the information you are listening to is somehow faulty or flawed. Rather, critical listening means engaging in what you are listening to by asking yourself questions such as, what is the speaker trying to say? Or what is the main argument being presented? How does what I'm hearing differ from my beliefs, knowledge, or opinion? A critical listening is therefore fundamental to true learning. استماع الناقد ما يعني انه اكو اخطاء بالمقابل اللي جاي يتحدث، وانما اشير الى انه انت تندمج ويا اللي جاي يسمعه وتشير الى مجموعه اسئله تسال نفسك فيها. Many day-to-day decisions that we make are based on some form of critical analysis, whether it be critical listening, reading, or thought. Our opinions, values, and beliefs are based on our ability to process information and formulate our own feelings about the world around us, as well as weigh the pros and cons to make an informed decision. أغلب قراراتنا اليومية هي تحليل نقدي، سواء كان الاستماع نقدي أو سواء كانت القراءة نقدية. It is often important when listening critically to have an open mind and not be biased by stereotypes or preconceived ideas. By doing this, you will become a better listening and broaden your knowledge and perception of other people and your relationships. The third type is therapeutic or empathic listening. Empathic listening involves attempting to understand the feelings and emotion of a speaker, to put yourself into the speaker's shoes and share their thoughts. This type of listening does not involve making judgment or offering advice, but gently encouraging the speaker to explain and elaborate on their feelings and emotion. طبعا هذا النوع ما يحتاج انه هو هذا النوع ما يحتاج منك انه تقدم حكم او تقدم نصيحة، فقط انه يشجع المتحدث انه يتحدث براحته. Skills such as clarification and reflection are often used to help avoid misunderstanding. We are all capable of empathic listening and may practice it with friends, family, and colleagues. Showing empathy is a desirable trait in many interpersonal relationships. You may well feel more comfortable talking about your own feelings and emotion with a particular person. They are likely to be better at listening empathetically to you than others. This is often based on similar perspectives, experiences, beliefs, and values. A good friend, your spouse, a parent, or sibling, for example. على الأغلب إحنا جايين نمارس الاستماع بالأخص بين الأصدقاء، اللي هو الاستماع التعاطفي مع الأصدقاء والعائلة. مثل ما قلت هذا النوع من الاستماع ما يتطلب، اللي هو الاستماع التعاطفي أو العلاجي، هنا ما يتطلب من عندك تصدر حكم أو تقدم نصيحة، مجرد إنه يشجع المقابل إنه يتحدث عن اللي بخاطره بدون ما تعيقه. Other listening types. Although usually less important or useful in interpersonal relationships, there are other types of listening. These include appreciative listening, الاستماع التقديري. Appreciative listening is the listening for enjoyment. A good example is listening to music, especially as a way to relax. Think about the music you listen to. You usually listen to music because you enjoy it. The same can be said for appreciative listening when someone is speaking. Some common types of appreciative listening can be found in sermons, from places of worship, from motivational speech by people we respected or hold in high regard, or even from a stand-up comedian who makes us laugh. هذا النوع هو من هذا النوع من الاستماع هو من أجل الاستمتاع، مثل الاستماع للموسيقى لأجل الاسترخاء. هذا النوع يمكن أن يحدث في خطب مثل أماكن العبادة، أنه هنا تستمع لغرض المتعة، أو الاستماع إلى مثل فنان كوميدي، أو تستمع إلى مسلسل. Selective listening. This is a more negative type of listening. It implies that the listener is somehow biased to what they are hearing. A bias can be based on a preconceived idea, emotionally difficult communications. Selective listening is a sign of failing communication. You cannot hope to understand if you have filtered out some of the message, and may reinforce or strengthen your bias for future communications. هذا النوع من الاستماع يكون المستمع متحيز للي جاي يسمعه، معتمداً على أفكار سابقة وعلاقات عاطفية سابقة، فنقوم مثل ما هو مجهز نفسه وموقفه حتى قبل لا يستمع. Principles of effective listening. Effective listening. It is tempting to think that because you can hear, you must be a good listener. However, there is far more to listening than merely hearing. A good listener will listen not only to what is being said, but also to what is left unsaid or only partially said. Effective listening, therefore, involves observing body language and noticing inconsistencies between verbal and non-verbal messages, as well as what is actually being said at any given moment. الاستماع جيد هو أن تستمع إلى ما يقال وإلى مثل ما أقول لم يقال، أو يقال بصورة جزئية أو قيل بصورة جزئية. إذن الاستماع الفعال هو يشمل مراقبة حركات الجسد For example, if someone tells you that he is happy with his life, but through gritted teeth or with the tears filling his eyes, the verbal and non-verbal message are in conflict. It is therefore possible that he doesn't mean what he says. Effective listening involves using your eyes and mind as well as your eyes, as well as your ear. بس هذا المثال جاي يضرب لنا انه شخص ممكن انه من يسأل عن حياته او طريقه عيشه يقول لك انا مرتاح، بس انت من تباوع انه يا اما جاي يحرك باسنانه يا اما انه هو عيونه مملوءه بالدموع. فهنا اكو تضارب ما بين الرسائل اللفظيه وما بين الرسائل غير اللفظيه، واللي قصدنا الرسائل غير اللفظيه هي لغه الجسد. فالإفكتيف listening الاستماع الجيد يتضمن تستخدم your eyes، تستخدم عينك، تستخدم عقلك، بالإضافة إلى استخدام الإذن. The principles of effective listening involves number one, stop talking. Don't talk, just listen. When somebody else is talking, it is important to listen to what they are saying. Don't interrupt to cover them or finish their sentences for them. Right now, the most important thing that you can do is simply listen to them. As the saying goes, there is a time and a place for everything, and that includes both listening and speaking. Number two, prepare yourself to listen. Relax. When you are listening to someone, try to put other thoughts out of your mind. مثل ما نقول خلي أفكارك على جهة واستمع حتى لا تكون وجهة نظر من بداية الموضوع قبل لا تكمل فهم الموضوع. And concentrate on the message that are being communicated. Number three, remove distractions. Remove as many distractions as possible so you can focus on what is being said. When you are listening to someone, it is a good idea to remove possible distractions. Put down your phone or turn away from your computer screen. Avoid behaviors like dawdling, shuffling papers, looking out of the window, or similar. Number four, empathies. Number four, empathize. Try to understand the other person's point of view. When you are listening, it is important to see issue from the speaker's perspective. To empathize with them, this helps you to understand their point of view and to understand their concerns. عندما تستمع حاول تتفهم وجهة نظر الآخرين حتى تقدر تتعاطف وياهم. هذا راح يساعدك إنه تفهم وجهة نظرهم وعلى شنو جاي هم يركزون. Number five, listen to the tone, volume and tone both added to what someone is saying. Effective listening means using these non-verbal cues to help you to understand the emphasis and the emphasis of what is being said. Number six, You need to get the whole picture, not just isolate bits and pieces. Words are the most basic element of communication, but they don't occur in isolation. Perhaps one of the most difficult aspects of listening is the ability to link together pieces of information to fill the ideas of others. However, with the proper concentration, letting go of distractions and improving your focus, this becomes easier. Number 7, wait and watch for nonverbal communication. Gestures, facial expressions, and eye movements can all be important in understanding someone's full meaning. We tend to think of listening as being something that happens with our ears, and the hearing is, of course, important. However, active listening also involves our eyes. Some experts suggest that up to 80% of communication is nonverbal. That includes hearing the volume and tone, but substantial element of any communication is body language. This is why it is much harder to gauge meaning over the phone. When listening, it is vital to watch and pick up the additional information being transmitted via non-verbal communication. طبعا الاستماع الفعال يضمن مثل ما قلنا الإذن والعين. تقريبا 80% من التواصل هو غير شفهي. كذلك المفروض أنه ننتبه للنغمة والنبرة وحركات العين، حركات الوجه كلها تعتبر ضمن لغة الجسد. And thank you. Our lecture is finished. Please, students, do you have any questions?
Thank you, دكتورة.
دكتورة هاي آخر محاضرة؟